everyone, and welcome to Lady Wisdom Speaks Academy. My name is Catherine, and it truly is good to be here with you today. Well, I have a special program today coming together live with Antonio, and we're going to be talking about March Madness and this whole idea of the um, NCAA tournaments, basketball tournaments that shall be beginning in March of next week, March 19th. So I am excited about this new event that will be coming up. And I wanted to get a Christian perspective on this. So I asked my good friend Antonio to come on up and let's have a conversation. So this is not just for men, but it's also for women and also for believers because in this, we're going to talk about how God wants us to be working together as a team, about teamwork. We're going to be talking about marching, the definition of march, and how that has a military connotation to it, as well as a springing forth marching, moving forward. And then we're also going to talk about how and what is required of a team to be able to go through the madness of the process of fighting or not fighting, but actually playing against other teams and who will be the winner. Many times people bet on these games and they seem to think that there's one particular team. Oh, my team's going to win. But when it all comes down to the actual winner, there are many times upsets. And it is because of the fact that the team that they thought was ready for the challenge actually was not ready for the challenge, that they became um, too cocky, too confident, that they did not continue to work together as a team. So the best team is the team that is able to endure. And in Ephesians 6, verse 10 through verse 18, it speaks of the soldier and the fact that God wants us to endure. He wants us to go through this process and endure um, spiritually in this fight. So I'm saying good morning to Francesca, and as I wait for Antonio, we will continue to talk about this. So it's a fight to the finish. It's a fight to the finish. So March Madness. March is a time in which we spring forward, but also it is a time of athletic prowl where men come together, young men in the colleges come together and they fight for the title. They fight for the position of the MCAA trophy. And I did some research on this. That is, what is March Madness? And it says March Madness is the yearly college basketball tournament held by the NCAA and began its journey in 1939. Back then, it featured just 8 teams competing against each other. In that inaugural tournament, Oregon emerged victorious by defeating Ohio State, claiming the first ever tournament title. Over the years, the tournament expanded significantly. In 1951, the field grew to 16 teams. By 1975, it had doubled to 32 teams. And in 1985, the tournament expanded again, reaching 64 teams. But why is it called March Madness? The term was coined by Henry V. Porter, an Illinois high school official in 1939. He used it to describe the original 8-team tournament, emphasizing his uh, exhilarating and chaotic nature of the games. Porter believed that a little March Madness could complement sanity and help keep society balanced. Interestingly, it wasn't until 1982 that the term became associated with the NCAA tournament. CBS broadcaster Brent Mushburger introduced it during his coverage, inspired by car dealership commercials he saw while broadcasting the Illinois State High School basketball tournament. And so March Madness became the pinnacle of sports in March. Come on back up, um, Antonio. Come back up again. Hit it again so that I can get you. I just wanted to finish reading this. And so March Madness became the pinnacle of sports in March, captivating fans with bracket busters and Cinderella stories year after year. Come on up, Antonio. Come on up. And I see that we have some people who are not necessarily with us on this. This discussion is about, um, so we need here we go. You're welcome to listen, but we are talking about March Madness. So those of you who are in here that are not talking about what we're talking about, you cannot stay in the chat. And I am removing you. And so we're remembering to guard our privacy and abide by our community guidelines. And this is not about um, whatever it is that you want to talk about. So this is about what is March Madness and how does this relate to the Christian's walk. And I have some really good information. So welcome everyone to our Friday coming together, and this is the inception of our sports with Antonio from a Christian perspective. You look good, Antonio. How are you this morning? God bless you. I'm doing fine,
Morning.
thank you. And yes, we have finally
Yes.
made it to March, where we have March Madness, and Tuesday, the 19th, will begin the tournaments. Are you ready for some basketball?
Have a lot of information. That's you're on top.
Yes, I decided that I had to research this because I know nothing about this and I didn't want to sound foolish. But I was curious to what is March Madness? Why is March Madness even how did it even begin? And so when I read that March Madness is the yearly college basketball tournament held by the NCAA and began its journey, I'm just going to reread it just for those who are just coming on. In 1939, back then, it featured just 8 teams competing against each other. And in that inaugural tournament, Oregon emerged victorious by defeating Ohio State. So Ohio State must have been really good, and everyone thought Ohio State was going to win.
Yeah.
Claiming the first ever tournament title. Over the years, the tournament expanded significantly. So this has been a progression. It says in 1951, the field grew to 16 teams. By
Right.
1975, it had doubled to 32 teams. And now, in 1985, the tournament expanded again, reaching 64 teams. So, really, this is dog eat dog. Let's see who's going to win this. It's some madness. And
Yes,
people
it
saying, go, team, go. It's probably really brought in the whole country. So the guy who says this, Henry V. Porter, he says, but why is it called March Madness? Because I was really curious to what was the definition of it. And it says the term was coined by Henry V. Porter, an Illinois high school official in 1939, and he used it to describe the original 8-team tournament, emphasizing the exhilarating and chaotic nature of the games. Well, with 64 teams, it's got to be chaotic right
right.
now. Yes. And Porter believed that a little March Madness can complement sanity and help keep society balanced. Well, I guess we need some balance because then I did my own little research on this because I was saying, well, let me do a word study on March. And just bear with me. You're going to talk all the rest of it, but let me just set this because this was so much fun. I looked up the word March. Don't leave me.
Yeah,
I
something happened. I don't know what happened. Let me see here. I think
Okay.
I
Well,
think
come on back. I love the word march. March says to walk in a military manner or group. March and drill are used to install in the individual to act as a group and to obey commands instantly. So I was thinking about this, about the March Madness and how marching is a drill for the team. The teams have to come together. If you have to go out and come back in, do so, Antonio.
oh,
In
I'm
the
fine now.
Okay, I
Yeah.
don't see you though.
You can't see me? Really?
No, no. Teams who can act as a team or group have the ability to move quickly and effectively with efficiency. Marching instills discipline, unity, cohesion among the troops, the physical fitness and coordination, and teamwork. So, march when an army is marching, what it does, it brings about unity. Yeah, it brings about. There you are. Good, good.
Okay, good. All
Yeah,
right.
somebody's messing with us, but that's okay. We're gonna keep going. Teams who can act as a team or groups have the ability to move quickly and efficiently and effectively with efficiency. And that is so true. We could see that in the March Madness that the teams who survive and move on throughout the tournament, they're the teams that work in teamwork and they are able to obey commands instantly, that
Yes.
they're teams who can act as a team or a group that have the ability to move quickly and they're effective in their movements. Um, and this was interesting because it was talking about marching as a military action. And I was saying, yeah, because I was always wondering, well, why do they have these marches for? It really doesn't have to do with combat and all of that. But listen to this: marching instills discipline, unity, cohesion among the troops, physical fitness, coordination, teamwork. And that march is a traditional, ceremonial, and cultural aspect of the demonstration of precision and professionalism. And then march is used for image, that it is to intimidate the other opponents because of their ability to move together in that unity and that efficiency. And the Romans used marching. This is really
Yeah.
interesting because I was thinking about Ephesians 6:10, a fight to the finish. You know how Paul likes to talk about us as being soldiers and putting on the whole armor of God.
Yep.
So he says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Living as a believer, that we have to live the Christian life in conflict and that there is a spiritual battle going on. Look at this right here with us. There's a spiritual battle going on while we're trying to talk about this. So, this
Yes.
must be a very important topic.
Oh, it
Uh,
definitely is.
yes, Christian life is a conflict and it's a spiritual battle. And it says here, I have, this is that we remain faithful. It says, I have remained faithful in Second Timothy 4:7. That Peter said to Timothy, I have remained faithful, and that he had to guard the faith as an armed soldier, not straying from the truth of God's word. And then I did some comparison. I'm almost finished. I did some comparison about this as a Roman soldier. How did the Roman soldiers go about doing what they did? And why was the Roman soldiers able to be so effective? Is because they were able to work as a team and move in that military way together as a unit. And I started thinking about us here at Lady Wisdom Speaks Academy, how we've been moving together as a team, and how you've been talking about the trifecta and all of that. It just started making me feel so excited about this is what God wants from the church. He wants us to move together in unity. And so let me read just real quickly. It says here that the the training and the discipline that went on, that march is to walk in a military manner or group. Why was marching important for the Romans? Is because it brought discipline through marching. It was training, it was intensive, and it was conditioning. And that the soldiers who could withstand hours of close combat while holding his heavy wooden shield and javelin. And this is where I really tied it in to March Madness, is the ability to outlast the enemy. Oh, the teams that are able to outlast the enemy, it's amazing. It's the ability to outlast the enemy, to withstand a heavy assault and outlast the warring fury of their enemies. And so that's where the madness comes in, because it is being able to deal with the club crowds. They saw the stadiums. You hear, you know how college students are. They're loud and boisterous, all of that noise, and having to be able to hear one another, know how each other moves. And so for the ability to withstand a heavy assault and outlast the waning fury of their enemies, and efforts was a deciding factor in many of the Roman contests. So I could see that as a deciding factor for these teams to win. So let me get with all of that. Now I'll finish. So now I want to hear um, I want you to introduce yourself to everyone, and then also share your thoughts on March Madness, and what do you think? I mean, there's a whole lot of questions. You could say whatever you want. It's the floor is yours. Go ahead. All
Well,
right.
morning, everybody. God bless everybody. And my name is Antonio Hobson. Um, Let me give you a little something. Okay, I played a little junior college basketball, so I have a little insight of what entails the madness.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, the madness begins uh, in the beginning of the season. You know, the score is 0-0, the record is 0-0, and so on. But before any of that starts, the student athlete that we're speaking, I guess we can bring it about as any of the college and high school basketball, because madness in both of those. Because March Madness actually started in the great state of Illinois in the high school concept.
Mm-hmm.
But for college, it starts preseason. The grueling preseason conditioning, the practice, and the anticipation from the fans of wondering how their team is going to end up. And you have a lot of diehard fans, you know.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Oh, torture, pretty much. It's like training camp for the military,
Yes.
but it's the same thing, and you have to go through a lot. And so, you know, the the season starts, and everybody's ready to put their product on display, and depending how it works out, deems you a chance to further play in the tournament. So that's we're going to stick with college now.
Mm-hmm.
So when college, when the conference uh, is when you've done really well and a board of experts decide whether or not.
Antonio, we're getting a lot of breakup. Could you possibly could you step yeah keep put your right there? Could you keep it right there, or
Sure.
is it your phone? Just keep it just right there, and try not to move it because it
Oh,
seems like
okay.
it keeps shifting a lot.
Okay.
And what happens is that it cuts you off, and we want to hear all the detail. Uh,
Okay.
okay,
Sorry about
okay.
that. All right.
No, okay, to keep it just like that. That's
Okay.
perfect. Okay,
All
go ahead.
right. Yeah. And so when the tournament starts, everybody's well, not when the tournament starts, but for to get picked to go to the tournament, a team that may not have done so well during the regular season now has a chance with the conference tournament. And if they do really well in the conference tournament, or even they have to win their conference tournament. A team that, let's say, didn't have over 20 wins in a powerful conference,
Hmm.
uh, but they won their conference. Now they get an automatic bid because they won their conference. So that's all the madness. So all the madness is pretty much the Cinderella story. Everybody is wondering who is going to be the weaker team
Hmm.
that's gonna advance, and the large team, the team that the prolific team, the team that the Kentuckys, the Dukes, the North Carolinas, Arizonas, the big teams,
Hmm.
the small teams are knocking them off, and usually every year that's what it is. You have the smallest teams and the
Uh-huh.
least expected teams coming in and knocking off the big teams.
Wow.
And that's where the madness is
Hmm.
that. The buzzer beaters,
Hmm.
especially the buzzer beaters and things like that. It's just so much and so many storylines all throughout the tournament. And it's like, where do you start? It's all over the place. And some teams, uh, they just do better in the playoffs or the
Hmm.
tournament
Hmm.
than they did do in the regular season. It's a
Hmm.
whole different kind of animal
Hmm.
when the battle, when everything's on the line.
Hmm.
Different players and different stars start to emerge and start to profess. It's like, and I always think of David, of course, David and Goliath, and that's what sometimes they refer to those teams, the David and Goliath.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, the smaller team, the unknown teams, the teams from
Hmm.
the least conferences, and I just deem them as David and Goliath. And there's always that reference,
Hmm.
and that's what I always see. And David, when the battle was presented to him, he was a whole different individual. He wasn't the normal uh, keeper of the sheep.
Hmm.
He was the gift or the anointing that's inside of him was drawn out. And that's what happens to many of us is in our battles of life.
Mm.
Sometimes God has to allow a condition or a situation to present itself before our gifting comes out and it elevates us.
Hmm.
And that's what I love about. I always love those storylines. The David Goliath. I love seeing that. And a lot of the guys or people try to predict which one is going to be that team every year. So every year there's going to be a David Goliath story, and so
Wow.
that's what the madness is. The madness is that, along with the Las Vegas people, the bet, a
The
lot of people
betters,
have money on
yes.
the line.
The
But
gamblers.
yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna say, okay, and I see Yankee sister.
Hmm.
He's saying UConn, and
Uh-huh.
more than likely UConn won last year, and they seem to be the ones this year. But I'm gonna go out and just say Houston. I'm gonna say Houston. Uh, University of Houston. That's who I'm going to pick for my final to win it all.
Why?
Well, because the conference they're in and they're battle tested and they did really well last year and they have a lot of players that came back from last year and I just have a lot of I got a lot of faith in them. I just think they're a tough team, both offensively and defensively. I don't look at a one-sided team that scores a lot of points. I look at a team that defends really well and they they get down and gritty, when the time
Mhm.
comes. And they've been doing it all season, so uh, it won't be a
Yeah, so
surprise.
that's a good question. What
Yeah.
do you look for in a team that you expect to win? What makes a great team for a contest like this?
Okay. The best
What are the
the
qualifications?
best teams you're going to see are going to be teams that are gritty and teams that have a lot of unification.
Mm,
They are you can see the cohesion with the team and they kind of flow. You can just
mhm,
see when they're running their offenses and they're setting the picks and they're uh, hustling to the ball and different, just a lot of different things that you're looking at. And there a lot of players that give their body up to go chase a ball. Some guys will dive out of bounds to go chase a ball and things like that. You got some teams they'll turn it up another notch when the tournament starts, and they didn't play like that all season. But then the tournament starts, it's like something clicks in them, and then all of a sudden, you just see this cohesion, and then all of a sudden, one player's doing it. The next thing you know, the whole team's doing it,
mhm,
and then they're having success. And a lot of
mhm,
people like to say a little luck. You know,
mhm,
me, I just like fate. I love that God allows whatever. I don't believe in luck. But things happen. I just see. Uh, I'm trying to remember who's a team. Well, I got too much history in my head. I can't go there.
okay.
I
What
got
about, so you think, so what I'm hearing from you is that purpose
yes,
determines um, the excite it becomes a purposeful, they have something to look forward to. So
yes,
so that's why when they opened it up to teams that may not have been doing so well
right.
during the regular season, but now they have this purpose. And could you talk to us about the power of purpose, how that brings the team, why does that bring the team together?
Well, the purpose is game to game and game by game. And I
Hmm.
just think it doesn't matter who's in front. They just want that victory at that particular time
Okay.
with that particular team. And
Mhm.
so some teams that are really great and good, sometimes they look past the smaller guy and they're looking too far ahead.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're looking too far ahead and sometimes they're not paying attention to the little guy in front of him, like Goliath, the way he demonstrated, or the way he he tried to bash David.
Mhm,
Said, who is this little rag doll that you set? Who is this little thing you set in front of me?
mhm,
You see, Goliath was looking at battling,
mhm,
you know, uh, God's people, and he was just looking to defile them. He was a foul Philistine. What David considered him as.
mhm,
But when he looked, he was ready for a battle. He wasn't ready for a boy.
mhm,
He was ready for a battle with men and so on. And he wasn't expecting that. And
mm,
that's what a lot of teams that are big like that, teams that have the universities backing, the boosters backing the universities,
mhm,
you have a lot of teams that every year they get what they call the 5-star recruit. He's the cream of the crop. They get the
mhm,
biggest guys, the 7-footers, the 6'10", 40-inch vertical, shoot 3-pointers and all that. So they get the cream of the crop, and the small teams get like the local yokel, and you know they don't get, to
Mhm.
have the money to draw that player in, and so
Mhm.
on. Especially like with the NIL now, image and likeness. These players can get recruited by the schools that have the money.
Mhm.
And so that's why you love that. You love to see the Davids
Mhm.
just 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 keep winning. I love seeing that. And then a lot of things that have caused a lot of parity in
Mhm.
sport is the 3-point line.
Mhm.
You can have the 7-footer, you can have the big guys that get all the rebounds, but I'll take the guy that can shoot 40, 50% from the 3-point line.
Yes, the 3-point line, that's
The,
the weapon.
the trifecta. That's what we call it. The,
Yes,
the trifecta.
trifecta.
Yeah. So you
Uh-oh.
line and shoots, I get him out of position. So they
Mhm.
have a lot of tactics. They have a lot of part of a lion, and that's
Mhm.
what happens in some of these kids. It's
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about was passion. That passion is very vital in this, especially when an army is going out to fight, or even when a person or team or group, they have to have some kind of emotional
yes,
connection to whatever it is that's happening. And you're really talking about that. So far, you've talked about, I've been jotting down notes. We talked about purpose, and
yes,
we were talking about passion and the
yeah,
power of passion.
yes,
So yeah, David had passion when he was going before Goliath. He says,
yes,
"Who is this uncircumcised Philistine trying to
right,
come here to come against the armies of the Lord?" And
right,
he got the people. Yeah, we God's people. Yeah, you know you're right, David. He started
yes,
to build up the courage of the army.
yes,
That even the king said, "Yeah, you're right. Since you got this leadership role, let me suit you up." But
yes,
then David could not put on Saul's armor.
no,
He had to put on the armor of the Lord, the
yes,
belief and the faith in God. And so when you were talking about the teams that have all of these plays and picks particular people who are
right,
tall and have invested all of this money, that doesn't mean that you're going to win.
no,
But it is the it's the teams that have the passion,
yes.
who know who they are. Could you speak to that now about the person, and the person knowing who they are? Are there some people that really stand out now, that you see have that David kind of feeling? I mean, I know you've been, what maybe your team that you're thinking about. Is there a particular college player who has that leadership role, that person?
It's so many. Like I said, I
Mhm.
got so many in my head, and it's ridiculous. But I'm a University of Illinois fan, and I've
Mhm.
been for a long time. And I could just use that team, which is not a bad team. They're a pretty good team. They'll do good in the tournament. But uh, Shannon for Illinois is a pretty good ball player. He has that kind of heart, and
Mhm.
he has that kind of determination. There's a lot of different teams that have that though, and they always have like that one that kind of pushes the whole team, and everybody's feeding off of, just like what you were saying about David. They're feeding off of his determination, his confidence,
Mhm.
and I've got a chance to witness that in my little basketball thing, and when I played in junior college.
Mhm.
When I played in junior college, we uh we had a team. that was brand new. It was a brand new, uh, the first year team, and we had a lot of freshmen on that team. And the sophomores that we had two star guys on there that weren't able to play the first semester, so we had to start off with hardly anything on our team. I mean, my guys, they were good as far as determination, and they had heart and everything. We just didn't have the size. And every time we played teams, we were so much undersized, you know. And a lot of our players were playing out of position because of their size. But we were able to end up having some success to where we won our conference, our regular season conference for the first year for our coach. And
Wow.
so that was blessed, and all through that season was a lot of storylines. We started off the season being 0-8. You know, we had lost 8 straight games, and then one particular game we seemed to pull it all together. You know, we kind of had little glimpses of success during during the season, even with losses. But
Mhm.
all of a sudden, this one particular game, we all put it together, and
Mm,
it happened for us. We ended up winning that game, and then we all of a sudden we just started winning some games, and we ended up winning the conference
mhm.
for the regular season. So yeah, not the conference, but the division.
The
But
di- mhm.
yeah, so just little things. Sometimes it's just one person can have a determination to give it all. He might come up with a big knot on his head, or he might have a scratch or bruise or whatever, and he gets up and he's still fighting. He's bleeding, and the players see that and they go crazy.
They see blood.
Oh, they see blood, they go crazy, and it's
Yeah,
it's,
that's
it's,
like,
it's yes, it is like what happened? What happened during the regular season? Why weren't you doing this during the? And then all of a sudden, it's like just something just gets in them. It's like like they talk about Caleb and Joshua.
Joshua.
Yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
they have a different spirit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they got a different spirit. That, and I love that. That gets me charged. That makes
Mhm.
my heart.
That's where the madness comes in, huh?
Oh my goodness! Because you got all these guys now. Everybody's on clicking on 8 cylinders, and everybody's ready. It's like anything is
Mhm,
possible. And
mhm,
that's what it is. It takes that a lot of times. Like, and
mhm,
David always found ways to encourage himself. Like
mhm,
when in Ziglag, when they lost
mhm,
their people, when he got to himself,
mhm,
and you could just feel that the spirit was stirring up inside of him when
mhm.
he asked God. He said, "Can I pursue?" He said, Go pursue." He said, "You shall
All
recover
right.
all." And so it was just that battle mentality.
Yes.
And that's what's awesome. I love that God does put different gifts in different people, and you just don't know where they're going to reveal themselves. And sometimes the battle or the war or the condition or the situation brings that about, and then you got a whole different person. So you can't look at them, you can't write it down, you can't uh you can't write it down. There's no
Break
remedy.
them off. Yes.
There's no you can't build this up in a person. You can have, see, this is like certain players. You can have them, they can shoot good 3 pointers, they can run the floor really well, they're strong, and good wind and things like that. And but when it comes down to it, when you start getting elbows and bruises, and you start having some partial tears and things like that, some players will persevere through that or get better as become sore or become more banged up. They play better,
Mm,
and it's weird, but it's something inside that person that's something that you can't train. You can't.
mhm.
It's just what's in them, and
Yeah.
that's
I
what
like
you.
what Francesca says, battle scars.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that
And
it's def,
the spirit of courage just rises. Yankee Sister says, yes, stirred up the spirit of encouragement. And
yes, yes,
the
and
Lord
I
takes note of
and
everything. Yes.
I see that when, like, the worst thing you could do as a as another animal or a person or anybody is
Mhm.
confront a mother with her babies, and that could be in the animal kingdom or in real life. I mean, don't mess with a mother and her children.
Yes. Yeah, that
And
nurturing, and men have that in them. They
yeah,
have that nurturing. This is my pack. This is my group.
yes,
We've got to win. I've got to protect my brothers.
yes,
We've that whole building up,
yes,
the marching. That's why marching is so important with the Roman soldiers. One of the things that they wanted to do was to gain discipline through marching, but
hmm,
they also wanted to be unified.
yes,
That all for, well, you know how it says with Spartacus, I think his name, all for one and one for
one
all.
for
And they would
yes,
say, shields up.
yes,
And they would put it, and everybody knew how to move as one. And the Bible tells us that too, that one could chase 1,000, but two
oh
could
my God,
send 10,000 to
yes,
flight. And
yes,
that, could you imagine when you have a whole regiment of 10 who
yes,
are in one accord, but of course, five here that are in one accord, that they can move mountains, especially if they are disciplined. I like the idea. So, the other P word that I have here so far, we have purpose, we have passion, person. Now we have pursuit. And
yes,
you were just talking about the
David,
pursuit
yes,
of going through
hmm,
to now wage the war and to stick to it, the pursuit of this win,
hmm,
so whatever it takes that we're going to win this. And
yes,
so now the pursuit requires technical skills.
yes,
It requires that they are marching in unity. It's a walk in military group or oneness. It's a state of madness. Is a state of, I looked it up. It says it's a state of character or
yes,
behavior. So
yes,
their true character comes out through
yes,
the madness.
hmm.
And with the madness, they have the pursuit that their work. So the coach, how important is the coach in all of this, in the pre-training, with the team? How does the coach help out with this whole process?
Well, the one thing about the coach uh, has seen this scenario played out before, so they're well versed in conditioning their players to adapt to certain situations and certain conditions.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing you don't want is a coach that has no idea. He doesn't necessarily have to be an ex player, but he understands conditions. He understands scenarios, and so that's where the coach plays a part in. He if he's wise, he's going to have all during preseason. He's conditioned these players for these scenarios. He's getting them ready, getting their
Mm-hmm.
bodies in shape and their mentality in shape
Mm-hmm.
for these scenarios. So
Mm-hmm.
that's usually what plays out, from the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the coach plays the vital part in that. The player sometimes they can come in being really good. There's very few players that come out of high school and that can go to the NBA because some players just didn't really need that coach because they were so motivated themselves that that but they still at some point needed that kind of guidance. They needed some instructions because here you're walking with all these tools and these toolboxes, but it doesn't mean that you know how to use them adequately or efficiently, and that's what coaches do. They show you how to utilize what you have, and that's they play the vital part. And like some coaches really do carry those battle scars like Francesca was speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
You do they carry those battle scars. There's even after a loss, you can see a coach goes over and consoles the player and tell him you'll be okay. You'll be all right.
Yeah,
Well,
I like what Yankee Sister says. Just like I would listen to the drill sergeant, and
hmm
I was thinking about marching instills discipline. So the drill sergeant gives them the calls. He
yeah,
tells them what to do and how to move, and how quickly the
yeah,
marching. If they move, as soon as they hear that word, they're supposed to be able to move quickly in
yeah,
oneness, in unity.
yes,
So that's where the coach provides the discipline,
right,
the coach provides the unity, the coach provides the cohesion among the members of that team. It helps them to be more cohesive, to move. And the coach recognizes their physical fitness.
yes,
When they were talking about the Roman soldiers, the reason why they were able to win a lot of other warfare and combat is because of their endurance, their ability to endure
yeah,
and to hold up those heavy wooden
yes,
shields, and to still have the javelin in the other hand to
yes,
fight with. Because could you
yes,
imagine, that's a lot? You have to really have a lot of good upper body strength,
yes,
but as well as good foot movement as
and
well. So
and that
it's the whole total body physical.
right, and that's what preseason conditioning, or like the drill sergeants in
Mhm,
training, and they
mhm,
they they create the wartime conditions.
mhm,
They create the perfect condition, and you have to thrive through those conditions that get you prepared for the real deal.
mhm.
And that's the wisdom of that leader or that coach, or you know they create the perfect storm for you to thrive in, and
Mhm.
you have to they want to see how can you survive in this.
Yes.
And a lot of times, if you don't have your head on right, you can misinterpret what the coach is trying to bring to you. And
Mhm.
and we talk about it all the time. Are you coachable? And
Ooh.
yes, and this is when you're gonna know if you're coachable or not.
Yeah, Yankee
Yeah.
Sister is right here as our trifecta. She said, "You must be teachable and
Oh
not
yeah,
resistant."
yes,
Go ahead,
and one
Thelma.
and, and it's
She would be good to bring up because she's got a that military
yeah,
background. Maybe next week,
yeah,
Thelma,
and, and
we could
she's and
continue
she's
this.
seen
It's
she's
really
seen
good.
she has seen, and I know under her belt, she's
Mhm,
seen quite a few that were resistant,
mhm,
quite a few that try to buck the odds, or
mhm,
come against the leadership. There's been plenty,
mhm,
that don't quite make the cut because they don't have the heads the right frame of mind. They don't have the right head for that, and
mhm,
and it takes that. It takes you being coachable. It takes you being, that's how you get better. You allow the discipline to happen for you.
mhm,
And that's the same thing that God does with us. He disciplines us because
mhm,
he's getting that perfection out of us. So
mhm,
yeah, though we go through the pains, like Job, he said we should come out as gold. We are. He said, though he slay me, he said, I will come out as gold. He knew what was going on. He
mhm,
didn't think that he was going to die. He said, I'm going to come out as gold. I
mhm,
know what I'm going through. He said, because he knew out of all the stuff that happened to him, he lost his family, he lost his riches and his health.
mhm,
And he like, I know this is the hand of God. He said,
mhm,
I know I'm going to come out as gold when all this is over because I'm going through some stuff right now. And God is gonna allow it. And so that's what you have, the kind of mentality you have to have as a basketball player. And that's what this March Madness, these guys, they long for this. They no more pain. Some guys are coming in, they're limping in. Some
mhm,
guys have a lot of battle scars and
mhm,
partially torn tendons and soreness and swellings and cuts and things
mhm,
like that, or even sickness. But
mhm.
they just the goal is on their mind. That's it. That's what they want. They want
You know
everybody.
what? The scripture that comes to mind, that the race is not for the swift, nor the
Yes,
battle for
yeah,
the strong, but
Yes.
for those who endure, that
Ma'am.
endurance to the end. It's
Yes.
about being able to build up your endurance.
Yes.
So the endurance is not just physical endurance, because you can have the physical
Yeah.
endurance. But if you don't have the mental endurance, your
Yes.
soul is not in there.
Yep.
You're so it's like the three folds. Your spirit got to be there, that that you're a winner. You got to know your identity. You got to
Hmm.
know who you are. Then your soul is in there, where your mental capacity, you got to
Yes.
be able to reason. Yet though they slay me, I will still trust the ability that we're going to win this. I trust
Yes.
my teammates. I
Yep.
trust our ability to win. That's
Amen.
the reasoning. And
Yes.
then your mind, your thought patterns. Because while you are playing, you've got to know and have already memorized and put to your memory what it is that you need to do to be able to the drills. You've got to have that. That has to be like instinctive. So that's where your memory and your mind processes your thinking, so that you could shift and move at
Yes.
the right time. So
Yes.
because you could think of a player on the team who didn't study the book, who wasn't part of the play. That one person could ruin the whole team
The
winning.
whole continuity.
Because,
Yes.
yes. So,
Yes.
could you speak now to teamwork, to the idea and the thought of team and teaming?
Sometimes, like you're saying, that
Mhm.
one person can infect the whole team. I don't care if it's in what sport you're in. You can that one person can bring down the morale of the whole uh plan. Let's say
Mhm.
whatever your goal was for the beginning of the year, and everybody's in unison, and you have one player that decide to be.
Mm. Yeah, that selfishness could really hinder a team from being successful. And so we've got to push past that and decide as a team that we're not going to it's not about me, it's about us, and that unity that comes in. It's about the one for all and all for one. And you're
Yes,
back. Go ahead.
yes. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't
That's
have
okay. That's okay. Keep
nobody's
going.
ringing. I got good reception and everything.
Yes. Go ahead.
um, yeah. So yeah, one player can mess up the whole continuity,
Mhm.
and and instead of you like for instance, a post player gets the ball in the post, he's double teamed, and instead of kicking the ball back out to someone that's open, he tries to press and to get his shot, and instead he misses the shot, or he creates an offensive foul or something that does something that brings the team down. If he does that repetitively, now the coach is either gonna have to bring him out, or one of the leaders on the team is gonna have to tell him, "Hey, kick that out." But and then if they tell him to pass it out, and he gets upset because he has to pass the ball out, and he's moping and half running the floor and half, you know, the teammates see that. One thing about it, in the heat of the battle, you can is your sensitivity is like on it's like really high. So
Yeah.
you can see whatever when a player is not in sync. You can see when a player is uh is really struggling, and you're sensitive to a lot of different things. So that's what it takes with good teammates. They can either help the person come up, bring their morale up, or they could drop their heads. And now you got two players. Now you got three players dropping their heads, and now the coach is frustrated and he's
Mhm.
pulling players out, and now the whole continuity is messed up. Now you look up the scoreboard, you're down by 10 points.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then now it's like 4 minutes left in the game. And so
When
you
it
gotta
really
try,
counts, huh?
yeah, and now you gotta try to find ways to make up for that, and a
Mhm.
whole lot of things. So it doesn't help having bad players. Sometimes a player can be really decorated, but if he has a
Mhm.
bad attitude,
Mhm.
Sometimes the coach has to do what he has to do. He has to get rid of that player in order for the team to have good unity. Yeah.
Yes, I like that. What Yankee Sister Homestead says, a team must be cohesive.
Yes.
And that's that glue. So,
Yes.
what do you think is the glue for a great team? Because you're going to have these youngsters.
Mhm.
Because what are the age? The age range here is like 9 to 18. What?
18, 18 to 22 is normal.
Hmm.
Yeah. And well, yeah, it's 22, but some guys you find a lot of guys that are really talented that come out early to get into the draft. So they come out, if they're really good, they come out their sophomore year or junior year. That's usually normally about the time some of the really good players come out their junior year. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So
So the coach has a lot of work in, especially if a player is like what you said, they got the talent, but they don't have the right attitude. So attitude of humility. What are some of the attitudes that a good um, be a good team player? There you humility. They've got to be humble. What are some other good team player that will really help the team to win?
well, from experience, I know that to be a good team player,
Mm. You've got to what? I missed that
if
word.
you don't
To
lead
be a good team player, you gotta.
and
Mhm.
a lot of times your teammates are
They're looking at your ability to lead. I think that's true. How you react. Francisca says communication is key. The ability to communicate. It's a positive or negative word of action. It will affect the whole team. Whatever is said and how you speak to one another is huge. That's what Francesca says. And Yankee Sister says they must keep their mind and hearts open to want to perform as one. Hmm.
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. I
No,
don't know what's going on with this. I'm getting good signal.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. That's the enemy. But anyway.
Yes, it is. And yeah, so the teammates, they have to see you doing well, and you're doing well in the classroom and being consistent in
Hmm.
your character, and they need to see you performing as well in practice.
Hmm.
All those things. So a coach is looking for that kind of leadership all the time, and
Hmm.
and then if it's like if you got two or three good guys like that, then it usually rubs off on the whole team, and you don't want to be the odd person.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
so that's really good. So
So it's all about character
team,
building.
yeah, with the team,
Yeah.
if you are able to have a leader who has a good following
Yes.
and the majority of the team are doing well, they can now put pressure on the
Yes.
one who's not
Yes.
doing well to step up.
Yes.
Yeah, or
And
they
that
will.
and that's
Mhm,
I'm sorry. And that's usually what a coach is looking for.
mhm.
When he's talking about coachable, most coaches have seen some of the best talent in the world. And so then they go step two, coachable.
Mhm,
That's usually it right there. Okay, talent, good, coachable.
mhm,
Okay, let's go. How coachable are? Let's talk to some of their AAU coaches. Let's talk to some of their high school coaches, their middle school. Let's talk to some of their teachers because that's when they're recruiting these guys. That's what the coaches are looking for. They're going to these people and asking them what kind of
mhm. Yeah, the character. So that character piece is huge. I would call that the personality, with the P's, the personality. Now you're looking at the personality. Are they coachable? And we looked at the character of David. When we looked at David, he had mighty men. He had those men who were willing to go with him all the way to do whatever he needed to do. And David, was very sensitive to his men. He wanted to make sure that all was going well for them. When in Ziklag, when the army had went in and burnt down their place and took their women away and the children, the men started weeping, and
Yes.
David was he was what can I do? And
Right.
he started crying, and so he went to his coach, which was the Lord. He
Yes.
said, I'm not going to solve this by myself. I'm going to go to the Lord. And he went to the Lord because his instinct was to go and pursue and go and get his wives and children, but because it was something valuable, the families of his men, that he did not want to do or make the wrong move that would
Yes.
cause the army to kill the women and children, because they could
Yes.
have done that instead of just taking them to a different place. But David went to God, and God told David, pursue. And with that confidence that he had in a higher power, in God, in his Lord, in his God, he said to the men, those of you, we know that you're tired, we know that you're weary, but who's up for the fight? We're not going to condemn those who are not ready for the fight, because they're weary, they're battle worn, but who's ready for the fight? And he took those men, and they went and pursued. And God was so faithful to them that he brought a servant that was of the other side. And he was there hungry, and he was worn. And so he was ready to say, come on, let's, this is what you need to do. That looks perfect right there. If you could keep it right there, that'd be great. He says, we know exactly. Uh-oh. You froze. Okay, there you go. We know exactly what we need to do here. We know what we need to get done. And the servant told David where they were located, gave him all the background information, and they were able to go and pursue and get the women. And the men, they loved their leader after all. But then David was so good. He said, even though they didn't come to fight with us because of the fact that they were weary, but yet they are part of our team. So they need to get some of this spoils as well. And he gave them some of the spoils. But it is definitely a team effort. I've got to say, we've got to wrap up. 62 minutes already went by. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, and I'm having fun.
I can't. I don't know what you're saying, but you're kind of breaking up there. We miss what you're saying, but it is something about this. This is very exciting, and I think we need to come together again on this topic. Definitely, I would definitely love to continue, because this runs March Madness. It is from so it begins the first four games on Tuesday, March 19th in Daytona, Ohio, and ends with the final four on April 6th and 8th at State Farm
Look at Dr.
Stadium
Catherine.
in Glendale, Arizona. So we've got a couple of weeks here.
Yes,
So now I got to watch so I know what I'm talking about and looking at
yes.
the teams. As Thelma was saying, now it does put purpose to this whole thing and watching it, because before it was like, I don't know, March Madness. Why's my husband watching all of this stuff?
Yes.
He would have it on and we talk to me about it. It mean nothing to me. But I would know, my daughter, she was into the Celtics, and of course, I
Oh
grew
yeah.
up with the Celtics with the NBA. So I know a lot about basketball. I know about the professional basketball, but this college thing has never been really an interest of mine. But
Oh
now,
wow.
with all of this going on, with you, it's now okay. I gotta see who wins
Oh,
so that we can have a conversation
it's
about this.
addictive. It really is addictive. I had to train myself to move away from a lot of sports because I was so into it. And
Mhm.
my middle son
Your middle son. What happened with your middle son?
Can you hear?
No, yeah. You said your middle son. What happened to
Yeah,
him?
he's in sports as much as I am. He's in the football, basketball, college,
Mhm.
pro. He's into it, if not more. He can be an ESPN analyst if he wanted to.
Wow.
Yeah,
We
but
need to get him on here
yes,
somehow. And
yeah,
so we could, I don't know, I'm gonna have to do like Yankee Sister and figure out StreamYard. I'm
yeah,
so intimidated by that. But anyway,
yeah,
um, but I don't know how it works, but we'll have to see. But that is really well, he could listen to it and give you some tips. Have
yeah,
him listen, ask him to listen to what we talked about here and how he sees it from his perspective, and you could share that with us, or if you would like to come on and share it with us
right.
too, because I could
Well, his
give
his
him
work
the.
his work hours are too. His work hours are crazy.
Oh, okay,
So
but
he had to
yeah.
be at work at like 5 in the morning, and he don't get off till like almost 6.
Oh, well, maybe we could get him at his coffee break.
Y-
He could just pop
Right.
on for a moment, and then you could come back on afterwards or something. Ask him, see what he says, and to give his perspective on this whole idea of the March Madness and the principles that we talked about purpose, passion, the person, pursuit, personality, about the purpose. Why is this? How does a team move with purpose? About the individual person, how each person is important, and then the pursuit of this, and the personality, that character is so important because of teamwork. We need the team to work cohesively. It's no pressure, but if he's
Yeah.
interested, have him listen. If he's
Yes.
interested, tell him that I am excited to have him come and just give a 10 minutes or of his time or something,
Okay.
and then we'll
I'll
pop
tell
you
him.
back up and see what he has to say, and
I'll
we
definitely
could
tell.
decide which one. But the thing is, yeah, so it says the cities for the first and second rounds of the tournament are Brooklyn, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, Indianapolis, Indiana, Omaha, Nebraska, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Salt Lake City, Utah, Spokane, Washington, and Memphis, Tennessee. The
Yeah.
regional semifinalists, Sweet 16, and finals are the Elite Eight, will take place in Boston, Massachusetts. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. I just read this. It's going to happen right here in Boston, Massachusetts,
Oh yeah.
in the East. And then they're going to be at Dallas, Texas in the South, Detroit, Michigan, Midwest, and
Yes.
Los Angeles, California in the West. Oh my goodness. Selection. You think
They're,
so?
oh yeah, definitely. No one's better than they are right now
What
in the
about Boston College, Boston University? Some of
uh
my
no,
our Boston colleges, they gotta do well here.
no.
Ew.
Sorry.
So it's
They used to Boston College used to be pretty good. And then
yeah. What, you don't think they're good anymore? Well, we shall see. They might be an underdog team here from Boston because they're playing in Boston. Maybe they will come on and join us. Yankee sister says, "No, ma'am. Sorry, my sister."
why is the devil trying to stop this? What is
I have
going
no
on?
idea. So we ain't gonna give him no glory. Let's keep going
No.
because God got this. The announcement of 68 team brackets will precede the games on Sunday, March 17. A complete dates and venue information for the 2024 Division Men's NCAA tournament are below. And so they talked about that. Yeah. So I did this research here, and it is an exciting thing. Uh, and what do they win when they win the 37 different schools have won the tournament? um so what do they get? They get a trophy, right? And anything else?
I'm not sure what else they get. I'm pretty sure they get a lot of gratuity.
endorsements. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think probably that the players too, they now are going to be sought after by the NBA, right? For the national championships and so forth. For the national professional leagues are probably going to be pursuing them, I think. And they'll probably get recognition from their college. They'll probably have a parade. Everybody would look at them as the champions. They'll go
yeah,
down in history. They'll have a mark in history.
yes,
But for the individual players, now one last thing, the players now are they getting any? I thought the players wanted to get endorsements. They wanted to be able to get endorsements and start to make money.
yes,
Did that
and
pass
that's the
the NIL? What is the NIL? Um, so I know that.
image and likeness,
What is the NIL? Tell us again.
notoriety, image, and likeness. I think yeah, notoriety, image, and likeness, NIL.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that could fight against the team. You know that.
Well, and that, but that also puts parity also because we're the teams that used to dominate, recruiting.
Oh, you keep breaking. But anyway, because of the recruitment, right, it does affect the recruitment. Does it balance the recruitment now? I know it probably helps the minority players to get some money and to start to help, to build wealth. It should help their confidence and their parents trying to fund their education now. They don't feel so beholden to the college.
I do not understand what is going on here. This thing
That's
keep
okay. That's okay. Keep
well,
going.
yeah, parity, and they're getting the schools that used to dominate with their names, the Dukes, the North
Mhm.
Carolinas, and so on.
Yes, you yeah, the Dukes and so forth. They had the money to go ahead. You cut off again, but go ahead.
Wow, that's
We're
crazy.
gonna end soon, so
uh, with the parity,
Mhm.
the school, they have to share the wealth. Put it like that.
Yes,
They have to
yeah,
share the wealth, and so
yeah,
now it's not as easy to draw the big player in anymore, just off your sheer name. Now,
mm,
now you have to contend with a booster that owns a traveling agency that's willing to give that player some kind of money or some kind of opportunities to where they're making money. So yeah.
mhm.
So now that's what happens. So I've seen in football that coaches have retired because
They lost their good players.
the good players are leaving because they're better deals.
Yeah,
It's about money. And so you're going to see that quite a bit. A lot of coaches that've been around that used to suck up all.
yeah. So that's good. That's like the wealth. With Proverbs, how it says the wealth that was laid up for the that the wicked has laid up is now going to be distributed to everyone else. I think that this is such a time of wealth distribution happening, and God is honoring those players and families who who's been who have been taken advantage of. Now they're going to be able to get some money to live by this.
Yes,
They're especially parents who put everything into their children, who pay for their college expenses and so forth, and college players who have dedicated themselves to this. Now they get a chance to get some funding to give back to their families,
yes,
to help with the generational wealth, and even put some aside for their future when they can't play sports. So hopefully they will have some wise advisors that can help them financially to put aside money and to create a wealth building within the minority communities. I hope so, or the poor communities. There's oh, you're breaking up. But
what
maybe
about
this.
now?
Go ahead. You're good now. Go ahead.
There's a young lady that plays for LSU. Her name is Angel Reese, and she makes more playing college basketball than she would in the WNBA.
Yes.
Wow, that is something. And so is
Hmm.
uh I
Yeah,
forgot her
but
name.
that's okay because
But
we will leave that for a different topic. Obviously, that's not working for us today, but it is something that we will bring up later on.
yeah,
We let's go. Let's address that. And why are those women or men, young men, able to get people to want to invest in them? That's a really great question because that goes back to our discussion about uh,
name and likeness. That's what it is. Name and
name, image. Yeah, but why do people like them? What is it? What are the traits, the attributes that they have, the characteristics that cause people to want to invest in them? People
right.
will see it and want to invest.
Yes.
Yeah, so let us wrap it up. It was good. As I said, I'm inspired to pay attention now to March Madness. Maybe not all my time because I have gardening still, you know.
Yeah.
And this is our gardening time, so I can't give you all my time with this
Yeah.
March Madness. But I pay enough attention so that I won't sound like a fool here talking with you, not knowing what I'm
No,
talking
you've done your homework. You really
about.
impressed me quite a bit. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I have to listen to some of the ESPN. I'll have to listen to the ESPN commentators
Yes.
and see what their take on the different college
Right.
um, teams, so that I can give you some quite good questions. Ask you what you think.
I gotta go do my homework now.
Yankee Sister says we must continue this topic. She really has been lighting up. I want to thank those who have been in the chat. Thank you, Francesca and Thelma, for being in the chat and really connecting. I see that there are some who are watching. Welcome to Lady Wisdom Speaks Academy YouTube. And I want to thank Antonio for actually
John.
coming in and talking about this. We are going to have to put together our channel, our sports channel, Antonio, featuring you and me. We're gonna go. I'll ask you the questions. I'll be
Oh
the
my God.
anchor, and you'll be
Be
giving
in,
me
look
the.
out.
Well, the ESPN, they have a woman there, moderating and
Oh
facilitating.
yeah, plenty. They
And
got
then we have the guys come up and everything. That's why I'm going to have to make sure I work on my StreamYard so that we can have different people on the set,
yes,
and
yes,
have it the questions traveling at the bottom and all of that stuff. But in
yes.
the meantime, I love this. This YouTube coming together is so much easier for me. But we're going to have to step up our game.
Yes, ma'am. Look at
Maybe
listening.
not. Oh no, more technology.
That's
Oh,
yes. You got this.
but
Everybody's
it was
stepping up.
you're gonna step up my game so
Yeah,
that we can have a better flow here. I think
yes.
that it will be much more easier. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check to see if you could use your phone still with that. Come on, Sister Catherine. I can't believe it. I'm doing it, said you Thelma. Thelma's putting me to shame. Proverbs 15:22. Oh, Francesca's bringing us back to the word here. Plans
Yes.
fail when there is no counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Plans pursue life and nurture seeds. Yeah. So Let's read Proverbs 15 real quick here, and
Okay.
I just also want to look at Ephesians chapter because I want to make sure that we Ephesians 6:10 through 18 in the message translation. I'm going to read that real quick, and then I'm going to have you read um Proverbs 15 for today. But I want us to know that this is a biblical thing, and that God really wants us to be warriors, and also us coming together here as the um we've been talking a lot about teamwork here as um, our wisdom thinkers, that God is bringing us together, and He really wants us to work as a team, to come together as a team, and that this teamwork is for his glory and his honor. And what we've been doing here is helping each other to grow, because there is a fight to the finish. And I like how the Message translation speaks of this. It says a fight to the finish. And that about, so Ephesians 6:10 through 18, a fight to the finish. And that about wraps it up. God is strong and he wants you strong. So take everything the master has set out for you, well made weapons of the best materials, and put them to use so you will be able to stand up to everything the devil throws your way. This is no weekend war that we'll walk away from and forget about in a couple of hours. This is for keeps, a life or death fight to the finish against the devil and all his angels. Be prepared. Be prepared. You're up against far more than you can handle on your own.
Yes.
That's why we need to work as a team here.
Yes.
Take all the help you can get, every weapon God has issued, so that when it's all over, but the shouting, uh, it's all over, but the shouting, you'll still be on your feet. Truth, righteousness, peace, faith, and salvation are more than words. Learn how to apply them. You'll need them throughout your life. God's word is an indispensable weapon. God's word. That's why we had to come back to God's word here, because this is
Always. Yes.
indispensable weapon. In the same way, prayer, that's why we've been teaching on prayer. Prayer is essential in this ongoing warfare. Pray hard and long. Pray for your brothers and sisters. Keep your eyes open. Keep each other's spirits up so that no one falls behind or drops out. And don't forget to pray for me. Pray that I'll know what to say and have the courage to say it at the right time, telling the mystery to one and all, the message that I, a jailbird preacher, that I am responsible for getting out. Yes, to get out the message. So this, I read it in the Message translation. We're so used to put on the whole armor of God. Yeah, we know that. But the way that the Message translation speaks of this same Ephesians chapter 6 really speaks to the fact that we want to build up our truth in our character, build up the righteousness of God, build up peace, faith, and salvation by putting on the word and really depending on God. So I wanted to read that. So now let's read Proverbs chapter 15. Could you read that for us? You could read it in any translation that you wish.